For decades, Cliff Richard stood as one of the most admired and recognizable figures in British music. He had the voice, the charm, the fame, and a career that stretched across generations. His songs spoke tenderly about love, longing, and devotion, and yet, one question followed him like a shadow. Why did he never marry? Fans watched him rise from teenage idol to national treasure, and many assumed that somewhere behind the stage lights there must have been a partner, a hidden love story, a private family life. But as Cliff has grown older, now standing at 85 with the wisdom of a life fully lived, he has begun to share the quiet truths behind that choice. His story is not about absence, but about discipline, faith, sacrifice, and the complicated balance between public adoration and personal longing. Behind the smile in the spotlight was a man navigating two worlds at once, the brilliance of fame and the quieter life he never fully allowed himself to have. From Harry Webb to Cliff Richard. In the late 1950s, Britain was still emerging from the heaviness of war, craving something bright and youthful to hold on to. Out of that moment came a shy teenager named Harry Webb, who would soon become Cliff Richard. He was barely 18 when fame arrived with overwhelming force. One moment he was an ordinary boy from Hertfordshire, and the next he was being hailed as the face of British pop. Screaming fans filled concert halls, his songs dominated the radio, and reporters followed his every move. The transformation was sudden, almost unreal. Cliff became more than a singer. He became a symbol. Yet inside, he was still young, still unsure, still learning how to exist in a world that demanded perfection from him. The public adored him, but admiration is not the same as understanding. And Cliff quickly realized that fame could surround you with millions and still leave you deeply alone. Discipline as a way of survival. From the beginning, the industry wanted Cliff to fit a certain image, a clean-cut British Elvis, charming but safe, exciting but controlled. Cliff learned early that longevity required restraint. Every gesture, every interview, every appearance had to be measured. He guarded his private life not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. Fame had arrived too early, and he sensed that if he gave too much of himself away, there would be nothing left that belonged to him. Friends described him as unusually disciplined, working tirelessly, rehearsing late into the night, touring endlessly, smiling through exhaustion. While other stars indulged in chaos, Cliff clung to structure. Discipline became his anchor, the only way to endure the whirlwind without losing himself. The quiet cost of being loved by millions. Applause can be intoxicating, but it also reminds you of what you lack. Cliff achieved everything the world could see: success, recognition, wealth, admiration. But the stage could never offer stillness. Ordinary intimacy was difficult when every move was watched, every friendship questioned, every private moment turned into speculation. Cliff built walls not to shut people out, but to protect his peace. Romance in particular became complicated. Love songs were easy to sing, but living love openly felt dangerous in a world hungry for scandal. Fame gave him everything visible, but it placed limits on what he could experience privately. Discipline kept him safe, but it also created distance between him and the kind of companionship most people take for granted. Love that never fully had room to grow. As Cliff's fame grew, curiosity about his personal life intensified. Fans wanted to know who held his heart. Tabloids searched endlessly for signs of romance. Cliff did experience affection and connection, but always within boundaries he struggled to cross. One of his earliest serious relationships was with Delia Wicks, a dancer who admired him long before he became famous. For a moment, there was the possibility of a quieter future, a home, a family, something beyond the stage. But Cliff was already consumed by the machine of fame. Tours never ended, schedules never slowed, and he kept telling himself there would be time later. Later never came. Delia eventually acknowledged that waiting for a man whose devotion to work outweighed his ability to commit was impossible. Cliff kept her letter for years, a tender reminder of what might have been and the cost of the life he chose. Choosing purpose over romance. Opportunities for love came and went, yet Cliff remained reserved. He was kind, thoughtful, charming, but always careful. By his late 20s, his life had shifted in a way that would define him forever. Faith became central. Cliff began to view marriage not simply as companionship, but as a sacred promise requiring stability and presence. Touring constantly, living in hotels, performing hundreds of nights a year, he believed he could not offer the kind of grounded partnership marriage deserved. Love, he came to feel, could exist without marriage, and devotion could be expressed through music, service, and friendship rather than romantic commitment. Faith as the foundation of his choices. In 1966, Cliff Richard made a decision that reshaped his life. He committed himself deeply to Christianity, seeing faith not as an image, but as discipline. Scripture, prayer, and service became central to his identity. This commitment clarified his approach to relationships. Marriage was sacred, not something to enter lightly or under the pressures of celebrity. Cliff understood that the life he lived, constantly moving, constantly performing, was not built for the stability marriage requires. Faith gave him peace, but it also reinforced restraint, and that restraint shaped the path he walked for decades. A different kind of love. Through friendship. Cliff never lived without connection. Though he did not marry, he surrounded himself with enduring friendships that became his chosen family. In the early 1970s, he formed a bond with someone who understood fame without needing explanation. Their relationship was rooted in trust, respect, and shared values. The public often projected romance onto their closeness, but Cliff maintained the friendship as platonic, believing companionship did not always need to become marriage. That friendship became an emotional anchor, sustaining him through decades of speculation and loneliness. It showed that love is not limited to romance. It can exist in loyalty, care, and presence, living under speculation and silence. Because Cliff remained unmarried, the world filled the silence with assumptions. Mystery invites projection, and Cliff became the subject of endless gossip. Yet he refused to let public curiosity dictate his life. When asked about marriage, he responded with grace, humor, and composure. Never defensive, never bitter. He understood that some truths are private, and that a life does not need to follow societal expectations to be meaningful. Still, solitude has its ache. Fame cannot replace intimacy, and even with friendships, there were moments when Cliff felt the quiet emptiness of walking alone, building fulfillment beyond traditional paths. Cliff's life was not empty, it was simply different. He poured himself into music, charity, and service. Friends recall his warmth, generosity, and humor, qualities often invisible to the public. He created a life rich in companionship without the structure of marriage. His relationships became his stability, offering loyalty and understanding that lasted decades. Through mentorship, community, and faith, Cliff built a form of family that did not rely on vows, but on trust and shared purpose, facing loneliness with acceptance. Even with peace, Cliff has acknowledged moments of longing. The life he chose came with trade-offs. Discipline protected him, but it also kept certain experiences out of reach. Yet he does not speak with regret. Instead, he views his singleness as part of living intentionally. The silence became a companion, not a punishment. He remained steadfast, navigating decades of scrutiny with dignity, serenity, and conviction. A legacy beyond marriage. At 85, Cliff Richard stands as one of the last living icons of pop's golden era. His legacy is not defined by what he lacked, but by what he gave. 6 decades of music, charity, and kindness testify to a life lived with purpose. Fame never compromised his integrity. Love existed in his friendships, his devotion to God, and the joy he brought to millions through song. He proved that happiness does not have to look the same for everyone, and fulfillment is not measured only by marriage or romance. The quiet strength of conviction. Cliff Richard's story teaches a rare truth, that a life can be full even when it does not follow the traditional script. Love is larger than romance. Family can be chosen. Discipline can bring peace, even when it brings solitude. Cliff's journey is one of faith, restraint, and enduring grace, reminding us that fulfillment is not defined by societal expectations, but by living in alignment with one's deepest convictions. In a world obsessed with spectacle, Cliff Richard remains a symbol of quiet strength, a man who chose purpose, integrity, and devotion, and in doing so, lived a life fully his own.